for a reading from May 31st until June 6th. Let's see what's going on in the energy and what you can expect to happen this week. The message is, remember, and I see this once in a while, not to pack it in, meaning like if we're putting something inside of something or creating something, let it have air, let it have space to breathe. I see something, not marbles, it's something soft, almost like a sandy clay that has spaces in between where the air can get through. We want to let that idea have some space in it, have some air in it. Okay, so what I'm saying is don't compact your ideas down. Don't try and be too linear, too logical about it. More, that's good enough right now, and I'm going to leave it be and see what happens. Be more of a free spirit with it. Go easy with it. Not easy for all of us all the time. Let's give it a whirl. Okay. It goes on to say you're compacting your ideas. Like in a way, we could say you're trying for too much, but you're compacting what the potential is by not having the space in between, right? And if you think about what is quantum, the quantum field is the energy that is between the atoms. We could look at that as a parallel. That's where the potential of what we're doing right now exists, is in that energy between the atoms. We're doing the same thing. We're mirroring. We also are mirroring the opposite or the contrast of how society worked all this time. And it worked through control. And control can be an important thing sometimes, like we're under control or we've got control. But really, when we are in control, the truth of it is we're in our power, meaning we know for ourselves and we aren't influencing another away from who they are. Or if anything, our quietness in this case is influencing them to be who they are. I'm not saying quiet people create that. I'm saying people who are in their power and are quiet in this way. They know themselves. They have little to say. And I don't know many people that know themselves. I did when I was a child. I was around a lot of elderly people in my neighborhood. We had no children, just people that were older, and I loved it. I could chat with them and, you'd go visit. It's just different life. And they knew themselves. Much of the time they did, because they weren't separated as far as we are from who we are. Even though they had trauma and other things going on, it wasn't at this epic level that you and I are experiencing, that our children are experiencing. It's pretty high. Okay, let's keep going and see what else is there. So let it be. Let it flow. Be the Aquarius. Ooh, what's going to happen? Let's let it be how it is and what it is, and back off from needing it to be a certain way. We might be dealing with imposter complex. We might be dealing with some things that we've experienced in our past that are rising up high, let's say, to show us, don't do that again. You don't need to do that again. You're beyond that. You can move beyond that. Important work. Important because we're moving into that position of we know for ourselves, and therefore we don't need to tell anybody else. We don't need to posture or prove or do any of that. And if you're putting pressure on yourself, it says take it down a little bit, take it down a notch, make it something that you can experience in a different way. You might, instead of doing what you normally do, like sit down and work on it, or go think about it, or do the task in your house that's mundane that you need to do, and then kind of, set it aside and then come back to it. It encourages creativity in a sense of how a child might do it, or giving yourself the opportunity to be creative in a way where you're inspired. You might go to the zoo. You might go hang out in the grass and pull grass up and, do things that you did when you were a child. Being more free. I know how hard that can feel and strange to, do something that a child would do because we're adults, but it's this freeing up and not thinking about it. It's just doing it, right? The exercise of doing it, letting go to it, also can be challenging because we're used to being in a society that's driving and moving. And we're just seeing that we can free up and let it go. Okay, try those out. Breathe through it if you need to. Okay, let's see what else. All of these things that I've mentioned prior to this moment are as though they're cars to a train, and the train is coupling up now. So the train is going to be able to be fulfilled and energized to be able to run down the track and move together fluidly. And that's why we're doing these odd little pieces together. And again, it's irrational because it is quantum. It is what is intuition. And it seems odd, but being able to be in that more curious, creative, I don't know. I don't have the answer. Accepting that allows us to couple those trains and show the universe we're ready to have those trains lined up. They can click together and then they can start moving down the track. And we head in the direction that is most powerful for us because we're not resisting ourselves. Right. And this is the hardest thing to do is self-forgiveness, man. People can forgive till the cows come home for other people. When it comes to themselves or being gentle with themselves or being easy on themselves, that tends to be the hardest thing to do. So check into what is the resistance? Just feel it in the body. How do I move through? Observe it. You can talk to it. You can put your hand on it and ask, what do you need? When you know what you need, let me know, because that gives control over to that part inside, into that energy. Okay. And it's signaling this desire to be calm. So it's take it down, take it down, take it down, take it down, this quieter movement into how are you? And not even observing or being with, like, how are you doing? But more, you're with you. And how are you now? And now that you take it down further, how are you now? Down to where it's okay. We're okay, right? We're okay on our own. We're okay in the relationship. We're okay over here, over there, down over there. And how do we feel about that? What does that mean to us as far as can we just be okay with it? Can we just let go to it? It's okay. This is okay. Okay. And there's a beautiful moment that comes about sensing yourself outside of yourself. Okay, so that is really quantum. As a child, I could do that. I could see me from other people's eyes, like physically how I was standing in that position. I'd see it from their view, and then I'd see it from my view, right? So we're going to be almost as though we have these parts out here, and it might feel overwhelming if we can't see that that's what's going on. That's why we're making these videos, is to help you see and get ahead of the energy. What is this? What is this? And more so, how do I relate to that? Because what's happening is it's giving you the influence of seeing yourself outside of yourself. And one beautiful thing that might arrive with this is it might be somebody comes into your experience that day and they are mirroring something heavily for you and it hits you emotionally. Then you can address it. Why am I so caught up with that? Right? We maybe have been having that happen lately. I know I have a little bit on certain days when there have been kind of auspicious astrological events going on, just mildly. This might be more in your face. Feels like 4 different things going on. And then another one might pop up. And another one might pop up with somebody you really care about. And you think, how could they go there? Or what we might feel wronged, but actually it's an opportunity for us to see something from a very different angle. That's the point of the energy. And then we might have something more mild happen where it's like, what is going on today? All of this in and out and mirroring fears, mirroring insecurities, mirroring power. Could be power in a way that's on its way. It's not quite there, but it's on its way. Because if it were fully there, they'd be in an expansive state and we would too, and they'd attract to us because of that, and they'd expand us. This feels like it's to take a look at ourselves. So there's going to be a little bit of resistance involved. It's not pure power, but it's opportunity. Okay. Let's see what else. What the? Okay. We've seen this a lot. Self-governance, 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 self-governance. Look at how much that looks like the train chugging along at an equal pace, at an equal distance, self-governance. And that means we're in that state of autonomy. We know pretty well who we are. We might feel still hesitant to fully express it, but we're willing to come out a bit. We're willing to entertain, okay, I'll push that a little bit. My train is ready to run down the track. The opportunity is coming, right? The thing is clicking in. And I have all of this skill set, as each of you do. Each of you have a skill set that is your unique expressive expansion. And I don't want you to get precious with it. That can run us into trouble. We want to just be in a position of, I don't really know, but I know that I have these strong skills. But we say that to ourselves. And then we can wonder, how do I bring that out most fully? I don't have the answer. I'm going to continue to move in the process of, universe, what is my most direct way forward? Support me, show me that. And it might be just get to work, just show us, because right now it feels too like the overarching energy is about us just creating, and the universe will, I'm going to say pay out. I don't like that term, but will show us that's the way we're creating something new by simply creating. And it's our small vision of like, well, this is something I've wanted. It's not the biggest thing that I've wanted, but we do something to move in that direction. But we're not running around telling everybody, oh my gosh, I'm doing this great thing. That's a problem in this energy. That's not going to go into our future. We know it, we create it, and once it's created, people learn about it because they do. That's just how it works, right? So we're not telling everybody necessarily like, oh, look at this. We might say to them, I started a new video series. Here's where it is. You can go check it out if you want. That's something we can say. That's from our knowing. We're simply sharing. But when we're like, oh, I started this thing, and let me tell you, that's posturing in the model. That's us controlling something to get people to respond to us, to get people to elicit a reaction from them. Oh my gosh, really? What did you do? Blah, blah, blah. That's not going to work in this energy. And then it's trial and error, trial and error. And that is how it looks, is with the train. It's all coupled up. I'm going to actually do it this way, like boom, boom, boom. It almost looks like on the train, there's this blop that happens. And over here, there's this blop that happens. And it might feel and look messy, but it's not your problem or your fault or about you. It's about the messiness of creation. It's about not caring. That's not going to get hurt while the train is moving. You're intending that, and then it becomes so. Do you see the power in that? And we're forgetting that intention. I mean, I'm a fan of the idea that, and maybe I've said this in one of these videos, but Jesus was right on the money. But the problem is humanity put that into a hierarchy. And then Jesus became about Jesus is higher than, the priest is higher than, the pastor is higher than, and can talk to God. And we have to go and use that person as a conduit. Not true, not right. Jesus said, you are the sons and daughters of God, and I am the son of God. He was saying, you can make water into wine. You can, multiply the bread and the fish and all of this. But we weren't listening because we wanted a hierarchy, because we thought some are more valuable than others. That's really what was going on. You can't deny that. That's not true, but we didn't know how to value all of society because we weren't letting it express. When we say, I'm going to control you, I'm going to judge you, I'm going to put you in your place, we're not going to get to see who they really are, the measure of who they are, and their ability to express themselves. And then we'll say, well, you're lesser than. But we're setting them up for that. It's a mess. This model is a mess. And we're extracting that. We're saying no more of that positioning where I know better for you than you know for yourself, or I know you better than you know yourself. I'm sure you've been told that in your life before by a parent, by a doctor, a teacher, somebody. It's not right. Maybe you haven't, and that's great too. But if you have, I think it's more common to have than not. Okay. There's also a message of take a back seat to all of the beep. If there's some chaos and drama seekers and so on, just take a back seat to it. I'm going to sit in the back of the car, put on my headphones and not listen and just go along for the ride because this is what I have as the vehicle by which to move through. That's what I'm doing. We'll see what happens when we get to the destination. Maybe it's time for me to go and take a break and not hang out for that part of the leg of the whatever it is, this journey. But we're going to self-review and decide, but we might feel that impulse to go inward and be with ourselves and give other situations and people a break from us and us from them that we don't want to take in. And they might say later, did you listen to all the things that I said? Oh my gosh, it's so hard for me and blah, 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 blah. And you say, oh, I had my headphones on. I was enjoying the scenery while we were going. And they, well, you better hear this. I can't. I can't do it right now. That won't work for me. And then they will drop it. If they say, why can't you? You can say, I can't say. And if they say, why can't you say? What does that mean? Say, I can't say. And what you're really saying to them, because you're not doing it intensely, like, I can't say, is I don't know. And they'll accept it because it's true. You don't know why you can't listen, but you're just not capable of it in that moment. And really, the truth is you need to be with yourself. But don't tell them that, because then they'll start, well, what do you mean you need to be with yourself? And they're going to make you justify it because they're in the model and they want you in the model with them, because then they can control you. And we're going to stop going into the model with other people. I hear the word tempting. It's tempting to go into the model. It's been safe. It's not safe, but it's felt like it might be safe because it's easy to justify the status quo in that of, this is just how things are. Well, life is unfair. Family is blood. You stay with family. All of these things that aren't necessarily healthy for us. I've been interviewed on several caregiver podcasts. They found me. I think that's interesting. And my work in some ways is about care. It's about caring for all of humanity, but not through learning empathy, not through learning how not to judge others, not through learning about the diverse ways that people are, because the diversity is unique to 8 billion people. It is. We can't say that these people are like that, because they aren't, right? We really can't. It's as unique as 8 billion people. And my work instead says that we are moving into natural equality, which means we will only attract people that expand us. I talked about this. But to go back to the caregiver podcast interviewing me, we're talking about the hardship and shame that comes with working and caring for family members that are ill or an ailing parent, particularly one that's narcissistic. Even if they aren't narcissistic, it's a lot. And there's a reason it's a lot. There are several things coming up. If we're in our 40s or 50s and this is going on, we have fractal patterning. So something that happened when we were a kid that's maybe at 6 and 12 and 18 and 24, like that pattern is happening. We were disappointed at 6 and then at 12 and then at 18 and then at 24. And it's built up so high now in our 40s and 50s that we're dealing with that, what we used to call a midlife crisis. And at the same time, we're helping this parent to sign all the documents and get things in order and take care of this, and they need this. And the parent might be really demanding because our parents might regress because they didn't really probably have a childhood in a traditional way. So they never really grew up. And then there we are parenting them, parenting ourselves, and working through all of this. So in that sense of the caregiver, that is also a status quo belief. The best person we might be able to be for our parents is somebody who we say, this program is available and I'm going to get them to come in on these days. And then when I show up for my parent, I can be really available to them and love them. Otherwise, I'm resentful and I'm exhausted. And I can get the errands run while these other people are caring for my parent. And then come this one day in the week and bring all of the things that the parent needs. And then they're going to have to wait another week before I can get those other things to them that they want for the next week. Or if something was forgotten, they're going to have to be okay with that. And we're teaching our parents, well, really what we're doing is we're parenting them. We can't be a pushover like, okay, I'll go out and get that. But I want you here. We could be torn all the time as a caregiver And caregivers can get sick. It's pretty common because we're giving too much. We have to delegate. We have to find other ways. Just a little pitch there on caregiving as a big example of the status quo. But they're your family and I'm the only one and so on. Mm-mm. The estate can pay you. You can find a way. You can talk to a social worker who can show you the ins and outs of all of this so that you know where to get extra support. Every country has some sort of support in the way of, you might find a women's group who's like, oh, we come and sit with ailing people at their house for 4 hours. I know where I am, we have a program like that. The people are screened, they're safe, right? Or in a community where it's more community-based, that might just exist. And you have, oh, I talked to my friend and she's going to have this friend come over because she's available. And then this other friend's going to come. Or you might have I have a knitting group. We had a friend get sick and we all came in and did what we could. And we did a really nice job together, right? To support her needs, but collectively. Okay. So point taken, the status quo is really, really highlighted in caregiving. Really. Let's keep moving on with this. I also see the junk, like the trunk of a car or the boot of a car if you're in England or in Britain rather, or the UK rather, and that we're opening that up and looking at all of the junk in the trunk. What's all of the junk in our trunk? Is it emotional? Is it how we're eating? Are we eating a bunch of junk that's making our bodies feel gucky and our mind not working too well and just not good? Are we holding on to things that we don't need? Are we not getting out and getting some exercise or sun? What is it? What's the junk in the trunk? What do you need to sort out with yourself? Is it spending 5 minutes in the morning meditating just to come back to yourself and stay with yourself? Okay, so look at that in this week. Maybe make a note. What's the junk in your trunk? And think about it on your way to work or doing an errand. Just give it a minute to think about it. The next is surrender to yourself. So we talked about self-forgiveness, which can be challenging, but surrendering to oneself is I give it over, I let go. I once surrendered to myself by saying, nope, nope. Mm-mm. And what I was doing is stopping the rumination and just that overthinking. It's like, nope, I'm not going to think, nope. And I'm a really big thinker. So it took me several days and many, many, many times of saying, nope, 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 I'm not going to let myself go there. Right? So you might be doing that, but surrender to yourself. I surrender. I don't have the answer. I don't know. I'm okay with that. I don't like not knowing, but I'm okay. I'll let go to it. It's going to be okay for me. And then the words are take it in stride. Don't press, don't push. We're very driven, and there might be an energy in astrology that is pushing us to feel like we want to drive instead of, the devil may care. Let's just do this. So let go. Let go and surrender to yourself. That's a double whammy. Let go of the handle. You can do it. It's about seeing it for what it is. You might think that something is a certain way and it works this way and that's how it is and so on. But things aren't a certain way, and that's exactly what we're proving and showing. I'm going to say showing in this time is we're saying things do not work a certain way. And we're creating a new way for things to happen. We're creating on the cutting edge of how things can be. And I get it. If you're a creative, we are told that the astrology is, boy, really, really creative. It's really getting us in there and helping us create. And we have to apply ourselves to it. We have to be with it and focus on it and go and practice it to some degree to show the universe we mean business, that we're invested. That's the tricky part. Is it's not what we create, it's that what do we want to create and how do we get out there with it in the way that is us, just by being like, I'll go create that and try this. I'll go create that and try this. We have to stay fluid and open and positive minded about it. Like, this is possible and it feels good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's the magic, is it feels good to me. It feels like I already created it. People already want it, right? That's the magic, because then we know. The power of our knowing is incredible. There's a message about sitting down and seeing yourself. So this could be what I talked about earlier, where later in the week, we sit down in a chair, maybe there's a chair near us, and we visualize ourselves in that other chair. And it's as though we're looking at our body and who we are somatically. So we're looking and sensing outside of ourselves, what is going on for me? What am I sensing about my physicality and about my mental attitude or mental space? It could be anything, anxious, joy, all of the things. And what do we want to make of that? It's the ability, like those people I said before, to see this contrast, or the mirror. Same thing here. We can see ourselves as mirroring, what is that about for us? And again, we don't have to ask too many questions. It's really about observation and sensing into what it is.